Welcome to a special episode of Engage TV. We've put together a video to inform our parents of the changes in the second grade math curriculum and to demonstrate tips on how they can support their second grader at home.
But what else, if I wanted to do something here, what would I put here? What's that called?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Traditionally, we had much more focus on the mechanics of math, on the procedures, and what we found is that there were some children who made connections and actually developed the concepts from that type of instruction, but there was a greater number who didn't make those connections naturally, who didn't develop the number sense, and all they learned how to do was use these symbols, put this number here, put that number there, do this, do that, and get an answer. They really didn't understand what the answer was, what it meant. They couldn't use it to solve real problems. And so now we're trying to work on developing kids' number sense and developing their conceptual understanding.
The biggest difference for parents to understand is that students need to understand what those numbers mean, and that numbers have meaning, and students understand that by understanding what place value is. And so that means they may add their numbers differently than what traditional arithmetic looked like. So grouping tens and ones and hundreds in a different way instead of just adding the numbers vertically. So when you look at students' pathways of getting to their understanding, you see different responses from students and using different strategies.
I think that the students really understand how to manipulate numbers better now that we've started this conceptual math. They understand place value a whole lot better. Tens and ones and hundreds. They can add the hundreds, they can add the tens, they can add the ones or subtract those. And they don't have to do an algorithm or a standard equation to try and figure it out.
It's more rigorous, and it's more rigorous by teaching different approaches to math. So instead of solving it just one way, let's say using vertical with adding or subtracting, we're going to be teaching students a variety of ways to solve. So maybe their mind doesn't think just vertical as one way that they can solve. Instead, we're going to be teaching strategies and what's going to be best for them to use. And then they can choose what works best for them and be able to be successful in math.
We've talked about strategies and learned about strategies all year long. First, what I want you to do, I want to review some strategies that we've talked about. Subtracting. We've talked about drawing a picture, counting up, counting back, number line, using related facts. Those are just some of them. Addition strategies. We've talked about rearranging. We've talked about counting on. We've talked about thinking about doubles or near doubles. What I want you guys to do now, take out your dry erase board, please. I'm going to give you a problem, and I want you to solve this problem using whatever strategy you can think of. Go ahead and write this equation and solve this equation on your board. I see lots of strategies. AJ, can you bring your board up, please, and share what strategy you did to solve your problem?
I didn't make a 10.
You did make a 10. What made a 10?
I did 4 plus 6, and I know 4 plus 6 equals 10. So I put the 0 in the ones and the 1 in the tens place.
Perfect.
Then I added 6 plus 2. And then I add that 10 from 4 plus 6, and 8 plus 1 equals 9.
Perfect. So he did make a 10. Those rainbow numbers. All right. Thank you, AJ.
I think that it is going to look different to parents, and I think the biggest thing that we have to understand as parents is that first we're trying to develop a concept. And so if we're doing that, it's going to go much slower, much deeper before we ever want to write it down. And we don't want to shortcut their learning by trying to teach them tricks to get the right answer. Now, does the right answer matter? 100% absolutely. That is important, and that is what we're doing. We're learning how to find the answer to a problem. But the first part of it is learning how to solve the problem. And so we can't shortcut that by teaching tricks to get the right number written down at the bottom. If they get the right number written down at the bottom, but they don't know how they got there, then it doesn't help them with the next problem. So for parents, particularly when we start doing two-digit addition and subtraction, that I have experienced being the first time that it looks different enough that parents are not sure about what to do. When we start doing that, we're doing it in a concrete way, and our goal is not at that point to get them to learn how to do the algorithm, line up the numbers and add and subtract. What our goal is at that point is teaching them how to combine these numbers, how to make groups of 10, and how to understand what all of that means. So if parents can help us and help their students by helping them to understand how to put these numbers together, how to make groups of 10, how you put 10 ones together to make a 10, how you put 10 tens together to make 100, how you break up 100 and make 10 tens, how you break up a 10 and make 10 ones. You can use beans, you can use blocks, you can draw sticks and dots. There are all kinds of manipulatives and things, tools that you have at your house, anything that you can use to help your student learn how to put tens together and take tens apart. And that's going to be the thing that we really want to see them doing. Sometimes when we're doing that and we're in that in-between stage where students are drawing pictures and they're modeling their thinking, it looks like this is a method that we're trying to teach them for solving an addition and subtraction problem, and it's not. It is a process to help them develop the concept. Once the concept is firmly developed, then they're going to go to eventually the algorithm where they line up the numbers and they do it the way we always learned how to do it in the past. So for parents, allowing that time for them to be able to draw, to be able to communicate, to be able to use their own strategies, because they will come home with strategies that they've learned at school, and they may look really different, and parents may not understand at first, but letting them explain. Let them explain, let them draw it, let them explain how they got the answers that they got, how their thinking is going, and they just have to have that step.
The strategies are grounded in conceptual understanding. And so the strategies are taught to students. So it may be that if I'm teaching addition, first, once again, I really need to make sure they understand the place value of that. So what each number means. And they can do that and demonstrate that by showing me that the number 54 is 5 tens and 4 ones. And then if they're adding another number to 54, then they can put the tens together and the ones together. That really helps us understand that numbers have meaning.
I think that learning conceptual math, the kids are really understanding math better. They just come up with the answer so much faster. If 12 plus 12 is 24 because you know that that is a double. 12 plus 13, and they're immediately saying 25. They don't need to have to add those together because they understand the relationship between the numbers. 12 plus 1. It's the same thing as 12 plus 13.
Years of research of why students weren't performing well in math really got us to the place where we are today. So understanding that just knowing the algorithms or memorizing facts didn't lead to understanding and problem solving. So coming back and really thinking about what were the best ways to instruct students and really looking at our standards to make sure that they were the most appropriate standards per grade level. So implementing the Tennessee standards, we can really look to see at each grade level, are they getting the content they need that builds upon in that vertical alignment.